Hey, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Devout-ish. I am your host, Phoenicia, and this is the podcast where we have honest conversations about messy faith.
Welcome to the Devout-ish podcast, where we have honest conversations about messy faith. I'm your host, Phoenicia. If you've ever questioned God, struggled with church culture, or felt like you're somewhere in between, this podcast is for you. No clichés, no pressure to be perfect, just real talk about faith, doubt, and everything in between. Now, let's get into this week's episode.
So, here's the thing. I have always felt weird about the word devout. Like when I hear it, or I don't know if this is for anybody else, but when I hear the word devout, it's giving, I wake up at 5 a.m. It's giving, I'm praying for 2 to 3 hours every single day. It's giving, I do the most every single morning. That's definitely not me. So this is basically a podcast for the person who, you want to be close to him, you love God with all your heart, but you also question things. You have doubt about certain things. And this is that space that leaves room for those questions and leaves room for you to explore and basically feel safe to unravel or just literally discover those things that you have questions about without feeling judged. So for me, I know I'm definitely a person that wrestles with my faith. I overthink a lot. I always feel like I'm doing something incorrectly or this is not the way that he would want me to do it. But who says that? Who says that there is a correct way to come to God? Who says that there is a correct way to have that time with him? So when I was thinking about this podcast or starting this podcast, I kept coming back to the fact of, my faith kind of feels a little devout-ish. Like, I don't feel like I'm a devout Christian. I feel like I am a devout-ish Christian. And with devout-ish, that is leaving room for the journey, is leaving room for you to step into that authenticity or find what that authenticity looks like. Jesus, pray for me. Okay. But it's basically leaving room for those mistakes without feeling like everything is going to be perfect along this journey, which we all know that it's not. So in being devout-ish, it's giving you the opportunity to actually figure out what that journey looks like for you. And yeah, so, sometimes nobody on this earth to me, I feel like feels like they are the perfect Christian or the good Christian, or this is where I'm supposed to be, or this is how it's supposed to be. Absolutely not. So this space is definitely a space where I am being vulnerable and transparent about the things that I don't know, but I'm also going to be able to feel confident in the things that I do know. So, yeah, nothing is ever going to be perfect here. So you see my face is beat right now, but it ain't going to be beat like that every single time. Okay, because we coming as we are, we coming comfortable, and we're just gonna have some good, transparent, and honest conversations about this thing that we call life and this journey that we are discovering that's called faith. So let's get into it. For this segment, we are going to be talking a little bit about why I actually started this podcast. So we're gonna get a little deeper into the reason. So I wanted to start Devout-ish because for a very, very long time, I felt like I had to have it all figured out just to talk to God. Literally. Like, how can I legitimately encourage someone else or tell someone else what their walk should be, how they should be, how they should present themselves, how they should talk, or whatever, when I definitely still have my own doubts and my own struggles as a Christian. And the more I sat with it, the more I realized that that is exactly why I need to have this platform. For a long time, I've always felt like I've had something to say, but anytime I would sit down and do a podcast, and if you know me, for those my friends or my family who may be watching this episode, if you know me, you know that this is not my first time doing a podcast. But for those who are new here, this is probably like my third podcast that I've done that is faith based. And this time around, I feel like I really, really needed to show up as me. Not to say that the other times I didn't, but I kind of felt like those times felt like I was being rebellious and I just needed something or an outlet for me to say something, but it didn't really have no substance behind it. It didn't have no direction, or I kind of felt like I wasn't mature enough in my faith to really sit down and have the conversations that I needed to have. I just felt like I was putting something out there just to say that I was putting something out there. But now that I felt like I've gotten a little more life under my belt, I feel like this is the perfect time for me to do the podcast, and also acknowledging the fact that I don't have to always do this alone. In those other two times, I was doing the podcast alone. I didn't have a production team. I didn't have the cameras. I didn't have the fancy mic and all the other type of stuff, the team behind me. It was just me and my thoughts, but I didn't know how to organize those thoughts. So this time around, I feel like I needed to take my time and really plan and organize my thoughts in a way to where if you literally have a topic in your head or a question that you feel like you're always getting bashed for or you feel scared to ask, you can literally go to Spotify, go to Apple or wherever you're listening, and you can literally find a topic that resonates exactly with what you are struggling with. That's how organized I want to be with this podcast, because I feel like this is more than just a podcast. This is literally like, this is my pulpit. And that's another thing. With this podcast, I really feel like this is my way of ministry. This is my ministry. This is how God has blessed me or anointed me to get my word out, to reach people who may not fit the mold of what other folks out here are putting out there in regards to how they should be getting the word or where they should be getting it from. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have some social media evangelists and things like that out there that's doing that. You ain't gonna find that here. I ain't preaching to nobody, okay? Because I'm gonna tell you this. I'm just gonna give it to you straight. Like, I'm not a person that knows every single verse in the Bible. I'm not a person who can give you just any verse here or there for all situations. No, child, that's definitely not me, okay? I will quickly say in a minute, let me go to my phone real quick and find a Bible verse on Google and let me see what it tells me about that. That's me. I don't have a million verses memorized in my head. So if that's what you're expecting to get from this, I'm sorry, boo. You ain't gonna get it here. Like, this is literally just me. I'm going through the journey of figuring out what this journey looks like for me, what it looks like for Phoenicia, and asking all the questions that I have or have had over the years that I felt like I have been shunned for or made it seem like, oh, well, you don't know the answer to that, or girl, you should already know. Like, no, we don't do mean girls over here. That's not what this podcast is. And yeah. So basically this podcast is literally a safe space. It is, because I felt like I didn't have that for a long time. I can't tell you how many times I have been to so many Bible studies, so many Christian gatherings, and still felt like I was a stranger amongst, of course, other strangers, but still, feeling like I just didn't fit because everybody else was quoting all the scriptures. And here I am just like, okay, well, I know Jeremiah 29:11. That's the most I can give you. But I just kind of feel like I have never really truly had a safe space to just literally ask those questions and say, I don't know, and not feel like I'm getting shunned for it. So this podcast is definitely not going to be polished, and it's not for the polished. So my girl and my boy, if you are expecting for somebody to come on this podcast and preach to you and evangelize to you and just give you all the things, sorry. It's not going to happen, okay? This is not going to be a perfect Christian version of faith. It's going to be the real, the raw, and the unfiltered version. So if you don't like curse words, sorry. If you feel a way about me drinking wine every now and again on here, sorry. Safe space, okay? Safe space. But this is definitely a podcast where you will definitely have your times where you love God, you on fire for him, but you just still have those questions. Those questions that you feel like nobody else can answer, only he can. But you definitely need community in order to be able to grow in Christ. So you need a community to where you feel safe asking those questions, right? And you definitely going to have some times where you love God with all your heart once again, but sometimes you don't trust him, you know? So this is definitely a safe space where you know that faith is something that you don't want to perform, but you literally want to be submerged in it. You want to be surrounded by like-minded individuals who don't have it all together, ever. You don't need somebody to beat you over the head with a Bible every single time. Nothing like that. It's literally a space where you can come as you are. Girl, sit with your wine, sit with your bottle, take notes on your phone. Like, this is literally a conversation between you and your cousins or your aunties or child, whoever. This is what that environment is going to be. And I just sincerely pray that by me actually sitting in this chair and moving forward with this purpose, that I am helping somebody, even if it's just one person. If I have one person to watch this podcast, this episode, or listen to this episode every single week, that is fine with me. Because I'm not doing it to be popular. I'm not doing it to be liked. I know people are going to come for me sometimes. That's perfectly fine because I fight. Just saying. But God is working on me. Okay. But yeah, this podcast, I really wanted to be a safe space for people to ask those questions, or just me in general, because it's gonna be me that's talking. But just a safe space for me to ask those questions and feel safe in it and not have to worry about being judged. All right, so here's where it's gonna get probably real personal, but I ain't telling y'all all my business, okay? But with this, I feel that the only way you can truly know me is to know my faith journey and what that's looking like right now. So we know that it's a little devout-ish. Well, it's very devout-ish. Let me not sugarcoat it. It's very devout-ish because I would definitely be lying to you if I said that I never doubt God, or I don't have those times where it's just like, Lord, just please just let me be. Like, I'm done with this. I don't want to go to church no more. I don't want to read the Bible. Like, what is this all about? I'm just over it. And for me right now, I really feel like I am in that season of rediscovery in terms of what my walk should really look like for me, in terms of how I show up and truly how I am building my relationship with God and what that looks like for me, without allowing society to tell me what that looks like for me. Because for a long time, that's literally what I was doing. And now that I am older and I see that that is what I'm doing or what I was doing, rather, I find myself unlearning a lot of stuff that people have literally projected onto me from when I was a little girl to now. And I've definitely had a season where I was rebellious, where I definitely did not want to go to church anymore. There was a time where I didn't go to church anymore and where I just felt that I just literally want to sit by myself and with God. I didn't want to have the word thrown at me in so many chunks to where I couldn't digest it and couldn't understand what was being talked about. And then when I go back and ask questions, people are just like, well, this is what this means. This is what that means. No, can you kind of like break that down a little bit more for me? Like, please, hooked on phonics me, please. Because I need another translation. Like, what else you got? And when I figured that I couldn't get that from anybody else, I just turned to myself, because that's really all I felt like I had at that point. Because everybody else made it seem like there's literally just one way to get the word, and that's by going to church. And I was so over church. I was over churched. And I was tired of it. So I just decided to rebel and just not go to church anymore. But thank God that was just that was a phase in my life that I was going through at that time, because I was also going through a period of rediscovering who I was, or discovering actually who I was. Around that time, I had just like cut off all my hair. As you can see, I don't have any hair. Okay. I had decided to cut all my hair off at that time. And when I say that haircut, or deciding to get my haircut, definitely opened up a different version of me who I felt like I have never seen before. And it was in the greatest way. It was freeing, and it was almost as if like I couldn't hide anymore. Like that haircut really, really changed me. And it changed me for the better. Now, I can say that with that came a lot of, oh, how can I say it? Um, a lot of parts of me that I wasn't ready to face, I had to face. Because once again, I couldn't hide behind the wigs and whatever else I had in my head at the time, child. I couldn't hide behind that. It's just like, girl, this is it. Like, either you tell it all, either you grow through it all, or you stay the same. And I felt like by getting my hair cut, I had to evolve. I had to evolve in my faith. I had to evolve as me. And evolving as me was evolving in my faith, because I grew up in a church. I'm a church girl down, okay? But I also had to know who was Phoenicia as this, I don't want to say new believer, but who was Phoenicia as this newfound person, as this newfound believer? What are some things that Phoenicia wants to find out for herself that nobody was ever able to tell her? And for a fact, I know God is real. I know God is extremely real, because you can't tell me that I would be sitting here today if it was not for him. And the ways that God has shown up for me in my life, I know that God is real. And if I'm being honest, I mean, for sure, there were definitely days where I feel like God wasn't showing up for me. But it's not that he wasn't showing up for me. It was that he literally wanted me to sit with some of the things that I was going through, just so that, it would feel like he wasn't there, but he was. But it's just that I didn't have anybody else to rescue me, because he wanted me to literally depend on him and him only. So that's where I feel like my maturity in my faith in some capacity has definitely grown, to literally not run to anybody else, but run to him. So not seeing those moments of moments of waiting as moments of being stagnant, or moments of feeling like I needed to find the nearest person to fill this space. No, because that space was literally for him. And becoming mature in my faith is definitely realizing that God is going to strip you of every single thing you have just to get your attention, or just to let you know that, listen, it's me and it's me only. It's me and it's me only. There is nobody else at all. He'll remove some people. He really will. And I just know that for my faith is sometimes it's not all about feelings, which is crazy to say, but the feeling of being alone, the feeling of not measuring up, the feeling of I should be a lot further than I am in my faith. I'm not ashamed to say that sometimes I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't. I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing a lot of times when I'm on this journey. And that's okay. It's okay to admit that you don't know what the hell you're doing all the time. You don't know where to start when you sit down and think you're about to have this amazing devotional time with God, when in reality, the entire time you're thinking about, well, am I looking at the right verse, child? Do I have the right pen and paper to write my notes? How should I take notes? Should I be reading a certain chapter? Should I be listening to a certain translation? Like, it's just so much stuff. And I just truly feel like sometimes I really have to take my feelings out of it sometimes, which is hard to say, because God just calls us to be. Because he really wants us to leave that room for him to feel. In that moment, you may feel like you know exactly what he wants you to do and how he wants you to do it. In reality, he just literally wants you to just be still. Just be still. Be still and allow him to mold you into who he wants you to be, how he wants you to show up. And that's basically it. That's what I'm learning in this journey that or this place that I'm in right now with my faith to just show up, to literally show up. And the first thing that I do in the morning that I'm personally making myself do, well, that sounds so bad, making yourself do something, but the first thing that I do in the morning is literally, before I touch my phone, before I do anything else, is to say, God, take over my thoughts. God, take over my mind. God, just take all my thoughts right now and replace them with your good, your will for the day. And that's literally how I want to start my day. I want to start my day with him. I want to end my day with him. And being on this journey, you really learn that not every single morning is going to look the same. Your morning routine may not be the next person's morning routine. Your morning routine today may be different tomorrow. It's just literally allowing God to have that control. And to be quite honest, I am scared, because I'm normally the one who has control over me. I can't let anybody else control my life because I don't want to, but I have to. I have to die to me in my ways in order for God to truly work in me. But yeah, I truly hope that what I said made sense. But that's really where I am right now with my faith journey. I'm just figuring this shit out. I am. And I feel like as I am figuring it out here on camera, I'm also doing the work off camera. I'm making sure that I devote at least 15 to 30 minutes of my morning to just sit with God, whether that's reading a devotional, journaling. Y'all, journaling, first thing in the morning, journal. Write out your thoughts. Doesn't have to be the most polished or anything like that. Just writing. That's one of the things that I find myself doing on this journey. journaling a lot more, reading faith-based books or Christian-based books, whatever you want to call it. Of course, reading my Bible a lot more. Now, one thing that I'm not really devoted to just yet is fasting. He is yet working with me on that, okay? But definitely when it comes to fasting, for me, I feel like it starts with fasting from those pleasures, those things that I always run to, like social media, fasting from social media. Because I feel like that's one of the things that can definitely make somebody feel like they're not doing enough. Social media is a motherfucker. And that's definitely something that always happens. I feel for me, when I'm on social media, it makes me feel like I'm not doing enough when it comes to my walk. So in fasting, I feel like that's something that I definitely fast from. So I'm jumping all over the place, but you get the point, okay? Right now, my faith journey is a mess. It's a mess. It's all over the place, but that's okay because we're going to continue to have these conversations. And as we have these conversations, we're going to compartmentalize some stuff. We're going to get it together. So that brings me to this. This is what I'm learning. Faith is never about questioning. That's not what this is all about. That's not what this podcast is all about. It's literally about choosing to keep walking when you don't have all the answers. That's where the faith truly comes in. You don't have all the answers, but you're just going to keep going until you get to a place where it's like, oh, okay. Okay. That's what that is. And that's basically what Devout-ish is going to be about, is showing up for God even when things are messy and even when we are still trying to figure things out. So what you can expect from this podcast is real conversations, no BS, no pretending to have it all together, just honest talks about faith, life, and everything in between. So when I say honest conversations about messy faith, that's exactly what you're going to get, okay? And some episodes will be me sharing my journey, the things I'm learning, the struggles I am facing, and what God is teaching me in the process. Because I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to listen to or watch a podcast and everybody has their shit together. What's the point? What's the growth in that? Like, you want to grow in a certain area of your life, but just watching somebody who has things all together and who isn't allowing you in on the process of them getting to a certain place, that's boring to me if somebody is not doing that in a podcast. So for sure, that's something that you will definitely get here on this platform. And for the first couple of episodes, it'll just be me because y'all need to get to know me, right? Okay, we gotta get a feel for each other. But eventually, I'm definitely going to have some guests and some amazing knowledge experts who can talk on the topic of faith and feeling devout-ish, feeling lukewarm in your walk. And I'm super excited for that because I truly believe that God has placed some amazing people in my life who can be a testament to the things that I'm going to talk about in the next couple of episodes before we get there. But yeah, so there'll definitely be some people who I consider to be knowledge experts of faith in a way that is extremely real and super relatable. So we'll definitely be talking about things like trusting God when life doesn't make sense, unlearning religious habits that don't serve us, okay? Breaking those cycles of self-doubt and fear. And also the very last and most important thing is asking those hard questions and asking them out loud, because we know that anything that we ask God, God is like, girl, that's it. Dude, that's it. That's all you wanted to ask me? Why you didn't ask me that sooner? That's what this is going to be about. That is what this platform is going to be for me, because I know I have plenty of questions, okay? He is sick of me, okay? I know he's sick of me. All right. But I definitely want to, once again, I'm gonna say this a million times probably. I want to be sure that this is a safe space where we can ask those questions and not feel like we are being judged for them, because nobody knows all the answers. I don't care who you are. You don't know all the answers because I don't know all the answers. Okay. And we being honest about it. So if you ever felt like you were never Christian enough, or ever felt like you were wrestling with your doubt, or ever wondered if you're the only one trying to figure this faith thing out, I want to tell you right now, you are not. Because right now, talking to you in front of this camera, I'm shitting bricks. Because I'm like, girl, how you gonna do this? What you gonna talk about next? Because I'm nervous, okay? Because the people be judging. But I don't care because I'm doing it. I'm sitting here. I'm being transparent with you. Your girl don't have it all together. But guess what? She gonna show up every single time. So just know that you are in the right place. This is where you belong, okay? This podcast is not just for you. It's for me. It's for us. So I hope you stay along for the ride, child. All right, y'all. So before I go, I want to open the floor for you all to ask questions, but also answer this question that I have for you. And that is, what is something about faith that you have struggled with, right? What is a question that you have truly been scared to ask out loud? Okay. So do that for me as you are watching this episode. If you are listening to this episode, drop a comment. I believe on Spotify, child, you can leave comments now. Okay. But if you are on Apple, be sure to head over to the Devout-ish Instagram page and drop a comment. Okay. Send me a DM, child. Let me know your thoughts. Answer these questions for me. What is something that you truly feel like you have never been comfortable asking with somebody else? And we're going to talk about that thing together. Okay. And yeah, just DM, comment, share your thoughts using the hashtag Devout-ish podcast. Okay, that is DEVOUTISH podcast. Okay, I want this to truly be a conversation, y'all. This ain't no monologue. Okay, like, I'm gonna be feeding off of y'all. So the questions that y'all give me and things like that, I really want to incorporate that into the episodes, because like I said, this is not just for me. This is for you and me, okay? Us, all right? This is a partnership, okay? So let's have conversations, all right? This ain't gonna be one-sided. So send me all your questions, all your comments, and let me know what you think, okay? And truly, if this episode has resonated with you, if you feel like this podcast is something that you want to stay tuned with, just, y'all, please, give your girl a chance, all right? It's going to be a little bumpy at first. But, we're going to keep the training wheels on for just a little bit. But as we get into it, I promise y'all, it's going to get better and better and better. So if the episode has resonated with you, make sure you subscribe to YouTube, okay? Or wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart. And be sure that you subscribe, okay? Because you don't want to miss the next one, all right? We're only getting started, okay? And it's only going to get a little messier. But that's all right, okay? All right, y'all. So let me stop running my mouth. Until next time, stay real and stay positive. Seek in peace. Love y'all.